Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 165 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Ben, Joey, and Nick. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. A lot of great NBA basketball as of late. I've been loving watching it.
Yes, sir. What's up, boys? What's up, everybody? Very excited to talk about the league.
That's right, a few weeks now into the season, and there are certainly a lot of things to talk about. So let's get into it after we do Pirtle. And in the last episode, we got it so quickly. It was a record breaking pace. Of course, this is our first episode in a week here. Missed the last week, and there's so much to talk about. But Pirtle was such a success in the last episode. We're going to try to do it again here in this episode. And our first player that we were going to guess today actually made a game winning shot last night in the NBA as we're recording this. And it's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's Yusuf Nurkic making a game winner for the Utah Jazz. So let's see if this, wow, and we already get a
Oh,
Utah Jazz player. Oh my gosh.
Two straight weeks that our first guess is actually the same team.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is a historic moment for Pirtle on the Run of the Paint podcast. This could be so many different players because, there are so many young guys on the Jazz that were smaller numbers. Like, it could be Keontae George, it could be Walter Clayton, it could be Ace. It could really be anyone.
Yeah, I was immediately started crossing off all the old heads on the list. I'm like, not Kevin Love, not Laurie Markkinen because he's around the same height.
Yeah, so I guess we kind of have to take a shot here with like Keontae or Ace Bailey or Walter Clayton. What do we think here, Ben? Why don't you pick between those players? Let's see who should we guess for our second guess?
I think Keontae.
All right, let's go with Keontae George. Let's see if Ben has it, and it's in.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
pick, Ben. Let's go. Back to back weeks.
That is huge.
Yeah.
What a start! Back to back with Evan Mobley and Keontae George in two. Let us know how long it took you guys to get that one. A terrific start here on the Run in the Paint podcast. So let's get right into it. And of course, there's still so much to talk about around the league. So our buddy Nick here has some questions for us, some would you rather questions that we're going to hit when going through a lot of these different categories. So let's get things started here by talking about the only team in the NBA that has yet to lose a game, and it is the defending champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are 7-0 after the weekend. They have been, terrific here to start this season. So, Nick, what is your would you rather question with the Thunder?
Yeah, a little early edition NBA tip off. Would you rather here? Starting with the Thunder. Last year they won 64 games, and I think I heard a crazy stat that they only played like 20 some minutes of clutch time because they just blew everybody out, or they played a very low number of clutch minutes, and they've already matched that in the first week of the season this year. So my would you rather question is: would you rather watch the Oklahoma City at full strength with Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren and all their guys running it up on teams and winning by 30, or would you rather watch them sneak these games out and build you know, a bit of a more resilient tone to set throughout the season?
Joey, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I have to think about it. I would probably pick the squeaking it out. I like the more clutch time, and I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people. Am I there?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're good,
so
Joey. You're still here.
um, I would much rather see it be close games. A lot of people don't like how they won it all last year. People thought they might have been not as good. Like I don't know. People don't like that Thunder team. I've been hearing. If they become a little more tough and resilient, I would love that.
Ben,
Interesting.
what do you think?
It's a good question, but I'll have to pick the more clutch time games. Well, it's a lot of fun whenever you can get a clutch, a good game in the NBA. We've seen two super good games. The first two games of the year for the Thunder were super fun and exciting, winning the two overtimes in those games. And I mean, it's a lot of fun seeing Shane the clutch, and I mean, they're a lot of fun to watch in the clutch. Come up clutch. Those guys in the Thunder like Shea and Jalen Williams when he gets back healthy. But I mean, it's not really too much big of a deal. But I lean like the close games just because it's fun to watch some close games.
Yeah, I'd say yeah, I definitely could see that side of the close games because it's so much fun to watch as a fan. But I think for that team, if they can keep going on like this and winning in blowout fashion, that is what you'd rather see probably as a Thunder fan, because it's the most important to be healthy come playoff time. And of course, J Dub has not played yet this season. He's going to be out still for a little while. Chet Holmgren has missed some games. There have been some guys that have been in and out of the lineup. Isaiah Joe, Alex Caruso. So whatever style gets them to be, as healthy as they can come playoff time, I think that's really all that matters. And minutes are definitely skewed because they played the first couple double overtime games to start the season, and that was super fun to watch. But I think that it would, do big things for them if they could, keep going on this pace in the regular season. Because if we're being real, in clutch scenarios, like even though the number, let's see, so yeah, they won 68 games last season, and last year they played 66 clutch minutes the whole year. So they actually won more games than clutch minutes played, which is an insane stat. I don't know if that's ever happened before in league history. But in the playoffs, like it's not like, they didn't win close games or have to go through trials and tribulations in order to become, the NBA champions. They played in plenty of close games in that Denver series, losing some and then winning game 4 in Denver, winning game 5 at home. Even the conference finals, the game 4 win at Minnesota after they, got blown out in game 3. And then, in the finals against the Pacers, game 4 is the big one where they're down 2-1. Looks like they could go down 3-1 to that Pacers team. And then, they're able to come back and get the victory because in those clutch situations, most of the times they have the best player, one of the most clutch players in the league in SGA. So I feel like both things could definitely be, valuable. But I'm not really worried with them in clutch scenarios because they've gone through those trials and tribulations to win a championship in last year's playoffs, and when it comes down to it, they have the best player in clutch time more often than not.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, Shea's really no stranger to hitting a big bucket. And even if you guys remember that 3-pointer that Chet had off the inbound to send it to overtime versus the Warriors, I think in his rookie season or last year, early in the year.
Yeah.
So he's obviously another guy to go to, and then J Dub has hit huge shots in the playoffs too, late in games and to stretch leads out in the fourth quarter. So they definitely have a lot of weapons late. So, yeah, they blew out obviously New Orleans, I think by 31, and then Washington by 20 as well. But they have a back-to-back coming up here on the road. They're playing the Clippers tomorrow night, and then Portland on the second leg of that back-to-back. So there could be some opportunities for clutch time in that back-to-back coming up. So we'll have to see. Obviously, if they could win those games by 30, I'm sure they'd rather do that and rest Shea in the fourth like they did versus Washington and New Orleans. But yeah, from a basketball fan's perspective, it is fun to watch them optimize, what they have there and just run it up on teams. But we gotta love the dramatic theatrics too from the best players in the game. So best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah, no question. And, right now to start the season, I mean, they're one of the few teams that, has like really the exact same roster this season. Like they didn't really add any new huge pieces at all. That's just kind of been a player development oriented thing. Like AJ Mitchell getting more minutes, and he's been great so far to start this season. And because of that, the Thunder, I would say, so far this season have been levels above everyone else in the NBA. Like the other title contenders projected coming into the year, have had their ups and downs because they are bringing in some new pieces, whether it's, pieces to the starting lineup, pieces to the bench, new coaching, all that. The Thunder have that continuity, and because of that, I think that's the biggest reason why they are undefeated so far. But Nick, you mentioned the upcoming schedule here. I'm going to pose this question to you guys. Have to bring it up. Thunder, of course, 7-0. They are undefeated. But as Nick said, they're coming up on a few tough games here. Again, going on this 4-game road trip, starting out tonight as we start things out in LA against the Clippers, and then at Portland, LA, the 11 p.m. Eastern tip-off, which which cannot, so happy about that. But regardless, lots of tough games coming up there for the Thunder. When are they going to lose their first game? When do you guys think they're going to lose their first game? Joey, let's start off with you. They play again the Clippers and the Blazers on the road, and then their next 2 road games are the Kings and the Grizzlies before coming on to play the Warriors and the Lakers.
I think they easily make it into double digits, and I don't know. They'll probably lose it even after the Lakers game. I think they go undefeated through that Lakers game.
Really? Okay. Ben, go next. You go next year.
Well, it's tricky. I mean, they're giving the Clippers, which won't be easy in their next game, and Kawhi and Harden are healthy. I mean, they have done really well at home so far, the Clippers. In with them, that could be a tough place to play in. It's tough. Who knows when they could lose? Thunder's so good. They could just keep on winning for a while, but I'm just gonna pick them to lose against the Clippers. I don't know. Thinking the Clippers, they're a pretty experienced team, and I said before the season they could give them some tough times in the playoffs, but like Chet's kind of banged up now too, and Clippers beat us not great teams at home, but look pretty good there so far. Obviously, we've seen before the end with them could be a tough place to play for opposing teams, so I'll just pick that game.
Nick, how about you?
Dang. I think I would have to agree with Ben and say the Clippers are kind of hitting their stride, and I could see them losing at the Intuit Dome in front of the wall of fans that they have there. But if not then I think probably one of these next 2 games, like we were talking about with Garrett on Super Mario Hoops. Portland on the second night of a back-to-back is not the team you want to see. So one of these next 2 games, if not though, I mean they got a pretty favorable schedule until the middle of December. They could really go on. How many games did they win before losing last year?
I'll go back and look at that real quick.
I thought it was close to 20.
No,
because the Caps were 15-0 to start the season. So
Cavs had the longest to start. Yeah, I think they were.
I think the Thunder might have been.
They went 7-0 to begin last year.
That was
okay, I remember that.
Before losing at Denver by 2.
Well, so maybe the Clippers.
This is actually a crazy trivia thing for the Thunder last year. Last year, they won 68 games. They never went on a double-digit winning streak. Their largest one they had a couple of 9s, 8s, a lot of 7s in there, but no double-digit winning streaks there for Oklahoma City.
Wow.
When will the Thunder lose their first game? I agree with Ben and Nick. I think it's definitely coming in either the Clippers or the Blazers game. If not the Clippers game, I think definitely the Blazers game. You guys know what I love the Blazers, and they are the team on a second night of a back-to-back. If you're being real, the Clippers and Blazers defensively are 2 of the last teams that you want to play. They are some of the toughest defenses that you have to go against, and you have to play against them on back-to-back nights with guys out with injuries. Thunder obviously can definitely do it because they're a title team. They're a great team. But, I mean, it is the regular season. At some point, they're going to have to lose a game, and I think it's going to be one of those. If not the Clippers game, it's going to be the Blazers.
No, I do like the Blazers. I trust in Tiago Splitter. He's got them cooking right now.
Yeah, but
He does.
if they do go past that, then it really could come in any of these wild games here because again, they're levels above the rest of the league right now on paper. So again, they're gonna lose one of these games. They're not gonna go 82-0. But
I don't know. I think they'll at least hit double digits. I don't know. I think these first 2 games, I think both the Blazers and the Clippers game are both going to be extremely tough. I think it is going to go into that clutch time, but they've proven this year that they can actually do it.
Yeah, it'll be
That
very interesting.
A lot more. than last year.
Yeah, and I'm very curious to see how they'll go about things, especially going into the Portland game. Especially if the Clippers game is a tough, hard-fought game and they end up winning the game, regardless of the outcome. That next night in Portland, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has been playing pretty heavy minutes to start the season again. Though the minute numbers are skewed because of the first two double overtime games. He's played under 30 the last two, but he's had a couple 35s in there as well. I'm interested to see if the Thunder are going to prioritize his long-term health or trying to win as many games to start the season, because like we saw with the Lakers, Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic have had to carry the load a lot for that team. And second night of a back-to-back, which we're recording this one, they're not playing this back-to-back. So I'm curious to see what the Thunder will prioritize: winning a bunch of games or the long-term health, when their other two all-star caliber guys have been in and out of the lineup.
Makes
Time
sense.
will tell.
Yeah, time will definitely tell. But let's segue into our next topic. Well, we could continue with the Thunder here because, like you said, Nick, their most recent win came on Sunday by blowing out the New Orleans Pelicans, who, my goodness, are now 0-6 to start the season. 3 of the losses are by 30 or more against the Celtics, the Nuggets, and the Thunder. So, question for you guys, Nick. Let's start with you. Their head coach, Willie Green. That seed is looking, it might be burning a little bit there. How close do you think he might be to getting canned?
I don't know. 6 games is a rough runway. I mean, I know he's been there for a few years, but I feel like 6 games isn't really enough to go off of. Even when you've lost by 33 times, uh, at least I think you deserve a month if you're gonna go into the year with the job. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
All right, Joey, what do you think?
I think it is getting really hot. I don't know if it's quite on fire yet, but it is getting pretty hot. I think 6 game is a rough stretch, but I think it is a little too early. I don't know. I give him at least. Uh, Ask me this question by next week's episode, and if he's still there, then I'll be like, yeah, it's quite on fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, is he gonna make it by next week, Ben? I mean, it's not looking good there right now. Nick said, it is only 6 games in the season, but this is his 5th year, and obviously last year was a disaster. I know injuries played a part there, but what do you think, Ben, about the potential?
I mean, I thought before the season the Pelicans were going to be great, but like I thought they would at least look better than last year to start this year, and they looked bad and around the same for last year, even with getting Zion, some guys healthy. It's just bad for Willie Green. I mean, Joe Dumars, who knows what he's thinking about Willie Green? He's made some goofy moves in the offseason that haven't turned out to be too good for them so far. So who knows what Joe Dumars is thinking on Willie Green? But I mean, right now I think I wouldn't be too surprised. I know it's early in the year. I wouldn't be too surprised if he was fired within the next week or two. The Pelicans, man, they haven't looked good at all. They've given up so many points defensively too. Like that, that's been a rough start for them too. Their defense, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can probably tell by the way I'm talking. I am expecting him to get fired in the next week. I will be surprised if he still has his job by the next week. Because, Ben, you said it. I mean, they're playing this bad, and their regular roster, besides like DeJounte Murray, who's already out, all their guys have been there. Zion's played. Trey Murphy's played. Jordan Poole's played, and he's been good. Their rookies have looked, solid, but they're playing. Herb Jones is playing. Like, there's no excuses right now. I feel like, it just has not been a good job right now. And even when we were talking in our, team previews with this Pelicans team, like, again, they look solid on paper, and it just has not come out well on the floor at all. I mean, they had a chance to win the opening night game against Memphis, lost that one, then lost on overtime to the Spurs in their home opener. And then since then, it's been completely downhill from there. I mean, three 30-point losses, and then they lose to a buzzer beater to Kawhi Leonard against the Clippers. I mean, it's just a complete demoralizing start to the season, and it's wild to think that it could have gotten worse from last year, but it has. They haven't won a game yet, and their guys have been healthy.
Yeah, it doesn't look good either. I'll be honest. I just looked at least at they're scheduled for upcoming. If they lose to the Hornets, he's got to be gone. He's got to be gone because then after that you're at Dallas and at Spurs because you're not winning those two games, at least the way they're playing. So if he doesn't win the Hornets, I think they might just pull the plug before it even gets even more out of hand.
Yeah, he could be fired by the next episode. This could be the leading point to start off the next episode. I am expecting him to be, watching the games from his couch starting very, very soon because he's been doing an abysmal job with that team. He's been awful, absolutely awful. But with that, now we'll go to our next thing. The Pelicans on opening night they lost to the Grizzlies. So let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant. Let's talk about Ja Morant, who it's been a very up and down start to the season for the Memphis Grizzlies, who are now 3-5 to start the season. But it really came to a full force on Friday night in the first night of NBA Cup action. They lose a home game to the Lakers where Luka Doncic returns and goes absurd. He goes crazy again. And then in the post-game, interviews there in the locker room, Ja Morant is saying things like, talk to the coaches about the things that are happening on the floor. They probably don't want me playing. And he ends up getting suspended for one game, which the Grizzlies end up losing to the Raptors. And then tonight, as we're recording, they lose to the Detroit Pistons at home in his return. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on this Ja Morant situation, how it's all kind of stemmed up? What are your overall thoughts on what's going on in Memphis?
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation, that's for sure. During that game, Ja Morant pretty much just gave up, didn't show any effort on defense or it was just like a demonstrative example of professional basketball. It was like you were saying on SMH yesterday, like just completely unprofessional reaction to, whatever was going on, whether he was having beef with the coaching staff or it just wasn't his day on the court. Like it was just a horrible reaction to what was going on. And what I'm guessing happened was that he got called out in the locker room by the staff after the game in front of the team, and he didn't like that, and he compounded and had another poor reaction with the media directly after that. So yeah, definitely going to be interesting to monitor how that situation unfolds going forward, because it's not like that can just get swept under the rug. Like that's going to have aftershock effects that ripple throughout the team and the clubhouse and the relationship between the player and the coaches. So it's just going to be interesting to see what happens there, whether or not the Grizzlies have to move on finally from Ja Morant. They're over their number 2 overall pick back in 2019.
Yeah, Joey, what do you think about this? Do you think that we could be nearing the end of Ja Morant's time with the Memphis Grizzlies? This is something that was kind of under the radar to start the year. We weren't expecting for sure to be talking about this a few weeks in, but what do you think?
I definitely think the end is near. If I was a GM and he's going to have a tough decision sooner than later, because it's getting quickly out of hand. It's going to get quickly out of hand the way it's probably going to shake up the team and their mentality, because who knows what's going to happen. Everyone's either going to turn on the coaches or they're going to have the coaches back and then turn on Ja. It's just going to be ugly, I think. And I think the GM should stick with the coach, and that means Ja might be finding a new home. And I think that's probably your best course of action, because outside of that 1 year, it's been injuries or the kind of gun incident. I remember that. And ever since then, nothing's come back from that. Like the team hasn't had success. He hasn't had continued success, like on the court. Like just nothing is coming together. I think either for Ja's career and Memphis going forward, I think it might be time. I would like to see it. I would like to see it split.
Ben, what do
They
you think needs to happen with this Memphis situation?
Yeah, it got messy after that Lakers game. The just seems like there's some disagreement going around that Grizzlies team right now, especially with Ja Moran and their um, guy that they now have a head coach, Thomas Usalo, I believe his name is. And
Yep.
yeah, I mean, Ja, he had a down game against the Lakers. I mean, I wasn't really able to watch that game, but I mean, yeah, seems like him and the coaching staff, I think, just had rough games that game, and I guess both sides were frustrated after the game. But Ja, I thought, got a little too unprofessional with that, and there again, the Grizzlies suspended him against the Raptors, and I'm thinking that the Grizzlies should look to move on for Ja soon. I mean, nothing's really got it better the way they've wanted to go after that one really good year multiple years ago with Ja, and they had a good playoff run, and I think they need to look to trade him eventually, and I'm thinking a team that could look to get involved in a trade for Ja Morant could be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I've heard some rumors maybe the Timberwolves want to trade for Morant, and I think maybe that I actually think Morant could work out in the Timberwolves possibly if he went there.
Yeah, right. I mean, if John Morant's going to be get on the market there, it's going to be to a competitive team that needs a point guard. And if you're looking around the league, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves are a glaring team at that part. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast with the Timberwolves, how they don't really have a reliable point guard for their future. And John Morant could definitely be that. Looking around the league, though, Joey, are there any other landing spots that you think could make sense for John Morant? Again, I mean, every team right now, for the most part, is being pretty competitive. But any team that you think could use a point guard to make to try to make a jump in whatever conference they're in.
The one that instantly comes to my head is the Boston Celtics, possibly. They
That's
have their
interesting.
first round pick. If they trade for him this year, they could still be competitive this year with him and Jalen Brown. And then they can, they were probably going to get rid of Peyton Pritchard at the end of this year, anyways, or he was going to get a big ass contract somewhere else. Like, that's probably inevitable. They can give him back that first round pick. And I don't know how it exactly would work down. So I haven't fully thought about it like that, but that's a team right now. I'm like, man, that would be good for this year possibly, and like obviously next year when Tatum comes back as well would be crazy.
Interesting, Nick. Nick, what are your thoughts about where he could end up?
I'd like to see him in Minnesota. I think he would look good playing next to Ant and Randall, and I think that they would be able to put a package together that's at least somewhat near fair value for his talent and skill level. If you include Naz Reid and maybe Dillingham or Shannon or Baron J, and a couple picks. Conley and DiVincenzo are also movable assets that they have on their books. So I think they got enough pieces to make something work. The thing about Ja Morant, though, I was thinking about this, like, it's so funny. I'm gonna make it real deep, but it's not that deep. Like in basketball, it's so important to have like belief in what you're doing and the freedom to compete to play at your highest level and the self-confidence and all that stuff. But as a competitor, like what you're supposed to do on the other end of that is just crush that for the other team. Like you're supposed to crush that spirit and make them reevaluate like their identity and everything about themselves. So I was thinking about how often and how many times LeBron has done that to people throughout his 20 some odd year career. And then I was looking back at John Morant's playoff game log, and since they were the 2 seed playing the Lakers when they got eliminated in 6 games, they lost by 40 in LA, I think, in game 4 or 5. And John Morant's only trip back to the playoffs since then has been the sweep against the Thunder last year, where he only played 3 out of the 4 games. So I just thought that
LeBron,
was a funny correlation.
LeBron ruined another person's spirit on that team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, yeah, it really has been a steady decline for the Grizzlies ever since then. Like, you think back in, I mean, the one year you think of is when he won Most Improved Player in 21-22, when he was absurd. Grizzlies have the second best record in the entire NBA and lose to the Warriors in the second round. And then they're the 2 seed again the next season. But in the middle of that season is when John Morant shows the gun on social media and gets suspended. And even though they were the 2 seed that year, and like you said, Nick, they lose to the Lakers in 6 games that year, it's been a complete, downhill thing. I think that social media, that initial suspension, is kind of where this has started to be, to drop off for John Morant. Like, it's, it has not been good. Like, Nick and I, we were talking about this on, we were on Super Mario Hoops show Baloney Basketball, which it will be out later in the week. We'll have the link in the description down below for you guys to check it out. But we were talking about this whole situation, and we brought up how, it feels like over the last, 3 years, including this year, like, he has not felt like himself from a on-court perspective, like a superstar level. Like, the highlight plays are, here or there. Again, the leadership is just not really it. It's kind of unprofessional. Well, not kind of. It is unprofessional. It's why he's gotten suspended and why the Grizzlies haven't had, a whole lot of success. And it's just a very tricky situation for a player that, came into the league, as such a, talented player, winning Rookie of the Year. But all of a sudden you look back on it, he's only made 2 All-Star games in his career when you think about it. And that's a shocking thing. Like, I didn't really think about that until looking at his basketball reference page for his stats. But yeah, this guy, who at his peak is one of the most fun players to watch in the league, he's one of my favorite guys to watch, in the entire league. And he's only made 2 All-Star games because it's continued injuries, suspensions, lack of leadership in the locker room. And it's just been a disappointment.
Yeah, just a lack of winning, really.
Yeah, lack of winning right there. So we'll see what ends up happening. Minnesota would be interesting. I worry there. Of course, on the basketball floor, the fit, would be there in theory with Ja and Ant. My 2 concerns there would be the Wolves are already shallow as heck as is. If they had to give up any more to get Ja Morant, like, I don't know if they end up actually getting a whole lot better to actually jump into a title contending move, because when you make that sort of move, you have to give up your future draft assets, and they already did that to get Rudy Gobert. So they don't really have the leeway to do that, and they'll be giving up a valuable player back to Memphis if they're going to get Morant.
You know what's funny? As we're talking about this, I just got a Bleacher Report update that said John Morant says he's not playing with joy. Apparently, he's getting asked by reporters now and just straight up saying, "No, I'm not having fun. I'm not playing with joy no more." So it's definitely heating up what's going to happen.
Didn't someone in South Beach say that last year?
I think you are correct.
I believe, yeah, and then I see it there, Joey. John Morant says he doesn't have his usual joy right now, and when asked what can get it back, he said, "We'll see," which is very similar to what Jimmy Butler said in Miami at the start of last year. So we'll see where that goes forward. Last thing on before we go to a couple of Nick's would you rather's here. My other worry, if John Morant ended up getting traded to the Timberwolves, is in order to be a championship contending team, or a team that has hopes to compete for a title, obviously you have to have talent, on both ends of the floor, particularly on the defensive end, and have superstars on the offensive end that can bail you out, win you some clutch games. But overall, you need good leadership, both on and off the floor. And if Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards were the leaders of the Minnesota Timberwolves, I don't know. I don't know what would happen. Like, I don't know if that would even help them at all.
Could go either way, honestly, if you ask me.
Ant would whoop him into shape. Ant would be like, "No, we're not doing this job. You're playing our way."
But even, I mean, Ant's a good leader, but even like professionalism, I don't think of professionalism or leader when I think of Anthony Edwards.
There's a difference between being professional and just being a leader. But the thing is, Ja is unprofessional and not a leader. Ant is a leader, just not professional. He just doesn't. He hasn't done anything that outrageous. He's just himself, and everyone responds to that though.
Could sell merch and T-shirts and all that stuff, I think.
It's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, like, you could do a lot of branding.
Yeah, that is true. It will be interesting. Huh?
I think
Yeah,
it would
we'll
be very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how far it gets through, and if we have any more, by the time the next pod goes around. But Nick, we just talked about two players that were selected back to back, at the top of the 2019 NBA draft, who are going through some struggles right now individually and with their team. So, guys, you have a would you rather
Yep.
question regarding this?
Yeah, the second would you rather question is, would you rather have drafted Zion Williamson or Ja Morant with the number 1 overall pick back in 2019? Joey, what do you think?
That is such a tough question. I would probably pick Ja Morant still, just because the highs have been higher than Zion's highs. Zion's highs have been really good, but then the injuries come across before they can even have like some of that success, like in season or in the playoffs or anything. Ja Morant has at least led the Grizzlies to the 2 seed a couple times and have made the playoffs in multiple rounds. So like, I give him just the pass there.
All right. Ben, what do you say?
I would have to give it Ja Morant too, because it's like what Joey said. I pretty much agree with Joey. He just said like higher highs and stuff. He had as much injury problems as Zion. Zion, fortunately, is like almost every year he's like having injury or multiple injuries. It's unfortunate that luck with Zion, but I mean, like back then though, like 2018. I mean, I would have like totally thought Zion would like get injured this much. I still like would have taken him back then if like I were picking number 1. But yeah, uh, those guys have been interesting careers, that's for sure.
Yeah, I
Miles?
mean, yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, I want to go Zion because when he's on, he's a super unique, fun player to watch as well. But yeah, there's been more winning with Ja Morant. They've been, at least he's been to he's led teams to a couple 2 seeds. Zion hasn't played a playoff game yet, so it's But yeah, Ben, completely agree. If you go back to 2019, it's not even close. He was clearly the number 1 prospect and pick back then. One of the most highly anticipated prospects coming into the league in a very, very long time. I mean, if we're being real, but before Cooper, Flag, and Wemby, it was definitely Zion as the most, highly anticipated guy coming into the league. But yeah, it's crazy how things can shake out like that. How there's, for those 2 guys now in their 7th year in the league combined, they have 1 playoff series win amongst the 2 of them. Like, that is crazy, and I don't know if you would have ever projected that with them when they got drafted.
Well, the next 2 guys from that draft are both on the Cavs, and DeAndre Hunter and Darius Garland. So I guess my next question would be, would you rather have either of them over the other 2 guys? Miles, what do you think?
That's tough. I think Darius Garland is definitely the number 3 player. If you go back and do a redraft, I think he's definitely the 3rd guy You could have, I think it's close between Garland and Tyler Hero, but I'll go, Garland. But I don't think I would take him over Zion and Ja, but I have obviously, as Cavs fans here, I've much preferred his, play on the floor. Has been way more efficient. He has had his injury problems, but he's been more durable. He's had at some points more highs. He's an incredible offensive engineer, and I mean overall he's done the most winning. Out of those top five guys.
Point guard for the best offensive in NBA history.
Yeah, for the Cavs last season.
Honestly, personally, I'd rather have Zion still because at this point, I think Ja is he's not the offensive firepower that he once was, and like I think Zion has the capability to match him a lot of times on that end, and he's like almost double the size, and he can get into those similar spaces and make those similar plays. I think just at a higher level, and then he probably does stuff a lot better on the other end as well, shot blocking and all that stuff. So I take Zion.
No, I get that point. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Nick. What's your next? Would you rather?
Yeah, moving on. I don't know. We can go through this one very quick. Would you guys rather see Minnesota trade for him or stick with what they got? Ben, what do you think?
Is there an option 3 that's neither?
Tough. I would have to go with, I guess just stick with what they got because, like, for the Timberwolves, they're going to have to give up some valuable stuff, and I don't really think they would get really a whole lot better even if they got Ja Morant. It would help fix their point guard thing, but, like, then you would probably have to trade, like, Nas Reed or someone who's like so valuable to your depth and are good attitude guys. It'd be risky trading for Giant for the Timberwolves. So yeah,
That's
I'm
an
guessing you
insane.
guys agree.
Well, that's an insanely difficult question now that when you actually think about it, because again, the Timberwolves are just in a rough spot, I think. But Joe, you go ahead. What do you say?
I was going to say, I actually would shake it up. I think the Timberwolves should do it. Just because I think you were about to make that point. Sorry, Miles, but I really think the Minnesota, they don't have anywhere else to go. I think they're at their ceiling because with the no point guard play, an aging Rudy Gobert, you don't have, and obviously Julius Randle and Ant Edwards are fantastic for that team. Nas Reed is fantastic, but the rest of the guys haven't come that much along to help make up for the lack of everything else they're missing. They just can't. I don't think they're at that competitive level, and I think you're going to have to shake it up eventually. So why not do it? Make the NBA way more fun to watch with Ant Edwards and John Morant probably dunking on half the league, losing possibly in probably more games, but the highlight plays are going to be crazy.
Right. Yeah, it's just so insanely difficult because like you said, Joe, I think the Timberwolves. I think this team has a ceiling, like we've seen the last couple of years, where not too competitive Western Conference Finals appearances the last 2 years. They've definitely been a level down from the Mavs in 24, the Thunder in 25. I'm just not sure. Like again, I'm not sure if Ja Morant is the guy to make them better, but I also don't know how else you get better. Like there isn't the piece that's out there right now. I don't think to make them that much better because again, I think John Morant could be really great, but it's also what do you have to give up to get him again? Because I mean, they're so top heavy. If you get rid of any of those guys, it's going to make them worse. I mean, if you give up Jaden McDaniels, you lose your most valuable perimeter defender who's been lights out offensively to start the season. Randall has been amazing as a Timberwolf the last 2 years. Rudy Gobert, he's aging, but I mean, he still is a great rim protector, and It's not like the Grizzlies would want him. Nas Reed is a super valuable piece. You don't want to give that up. And then you have all your young guys who are your future, essentially. Essentially, because again, they gave up their picks to Utah for Rudy Gobert. So I think they're stuck right now, the Timberwolves, and I personally would wait it out to see if someone better becomes available, but that could definitely be a long shot because again, Morant is still great. I just don't know if he's the guy to make them that much better to where they're a title contending team.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Swinging over to Eastern Conference real quick and talk about a couple teams that may not really be contenders, and we're spending some time talking about the Wolves and the Grizzlies. So let's spend some time talking about another team that we all had outside of the playoff picture, and the Toronto Raptors. Um, we all had them, I think, just outside, like 11 or 12. And honestly, their offense looks pretty good to start the year. They won their last two games after starting 1-4. They beat our Cavs the other night, and then went into Memphis and beat the Grizzlies with Morant out. So I'm wondering whether or not you guys would rather see the Raptors sneak into the playoffs and maybe challenge a top seed for a playoff first round win, or if you'd rather see them get let's go with the first overall pick in next year's draft, and just go for a top four lottery position and sneak into the top spot. Would you rather see them get the top pick or win a first round playoff series?
Ben, you go ahead. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this.
That's difficult. Yeah, you would like some more like success this year, especially with development out of like your young guys you have. But it's a tricky one. Like to get better for the Raptors, but we hate to see that first overall pick because like this draft kit class coming up this year is loaded. Like, I mean, even if the Raptors are like competitive and even like a playing team, I mean, they still could possibly get the first overall pick. I mean, we've seen that recently, and if they could get that that would change things for that team. That team would have such a great future ahead of them. Like they could get the Bandsta or Darren Peterson or who I think could be, hopefully super good in college this year to where they can translate to being stars in the NBA. That would be huge. That could be exactly what they need to, get them kind of out of this like, you know, okay, decent team range to like possibly into a great contending team range finally once again.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Um, Joey, what about you? Do you think you'd rather see him win a playoff series or get the top pick?
First, I would love to see and to try for the Toronto Raptors to try and go against Cleveland in the playoffs. It never worked in the past. It's not going to work again this year if they try. It's LeBronto for a reason, even if we don't have LeBron anymore. But I completely agree with Ben. They should go
It
for the
might
first.
be Yamamoto now with the Dodgers ace.
Ooh, yeah. If anyone watched the World
Yoshi
Series,
Yamamoto. Yeah.
Yamamoto is an absolute monster and destroyed Toronto. But I think I'm with Ben though. The college hoops just started. My Florida Gators, the defending champs, are 0-1, and but there's going to be a lot of great talent in college this year and international. Like I would much rather see them come back with like a vengeance and like a full team with like a superstar young guy like that. I think that would be much better in the long run than just try to maybe upset a random team this year.
Interesting. I'm kind of on both sides of it, but I'm actually going to go with the playoff series win because with this team, I mean, they basically have set themselves up like money wise for this starting five to be their core going forward, and in a weaker Eastern Conference, this team needs to show that they can be competitive with this core. I honestly feel like it would be a total disaster if the Raptors ended up deep in the lottery in a position to actually get the number one overall pick. Because again, they have, solid good players. Again, they're not anything, too special. But I mean, Brandon Ingram has been a terrific addition to the Raptors. Scotty Barnes is off to a great start. RJ Barrett, another, terrific start to the season. Colin Murray Boyles has finally gotten to play a bit the last few games, and he's looked really good, as a rookie that fits what they want to do. So I think, it's been a it's been a little while for Raptors fans to taste, a lot of sustained success there. And I think it'd be good for that team to get to a playoff spot and try to win a series. Because, I mean, if there's a year for you to try and do it and shake some things up, I mean, it's this season in the Eastern Conference, especially with all these other teams in the East that are going to be tanking in the lottery. Like the Brooklyn Nets and the Wizards are already off to a hot start in that field. The Pacers are quickly joining it, and I expect teams like the Hornets to be in that realm going forward later. So I mean, it's quickly gonna be the Raptors already might be a little bit behind there if they're trying to win some games there, because there are already some teams down in the East that you could see are going to try to go for a solid lottery position. But Ben, like you said, though, you can make a plan and still win the lottery, as we've seen the last two seasons. So we'll see what happens. But I think it'd be good for the Raptors to get some postseason experience, and for the Raptor fans, because they love their basketball there in Toronto.
All right. Moving on to the final would you rather of the NBA tip off edition. And we're going into the MVP conversation now because I'm wondering whether or not you guys would rather see. Well, let me build this up a little bit more. In the last couple of years, like we haven't had as many guys in the MVP running as I think are kind of in the conversation this year, with Vic being the main guy, sort of sneaking in. In the past has been between Joker and Shea, or Joker and Embiid, just like two or three guys. But this year it really feels like, Giannis is there, Joker has a great case, Shea, Luca, and now Vic sneaking in here too. Um, so I'm wondering if you guys would rather see Vic win this award, win the MVP in year two, or would you rather see somebody else that I haven't mentioned yet sneak in to the conversation, also have like a legitimate top five, or I already mentioned five names, like a top six run at it that could win it, like have Brunson leading to the one seed and average 30, or have J Dub, like maybe Shea goes out for a bit and J Dub has to lead the Thunder and he goes for like a stretch where he's averaging insane numbers, or even Maxey leading the Sixers to a top four seed, or Cade leading the Pistons to a top two seed. Like there's a lot of stuff that could happen that give guys a case. So I'm wondering if you would rather see Vic win it, or you rather see someone like on the second or third tier even sneak in and have a legit case to win the award too.
I already know what Ben's gonna say about Wemby. He loves Victor Wembanyama for
Well,
MVP.
yeah, I do love Victor Wembanyama. I would be happy to see him win it, but I mean, I would still rather would see like some dark horse guys possibly sneak into that conversation. And I think Wemby still will be in that conversation, as I can see it happening this year. Some dark horses this year. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, he's off to a hot start, putting up, boy, just super good numbers so far. And yeah, I kind of underestimated Maxey before the season started. I thought he'd be good, but man, I didn't think he'd be this good already. And King Cunningham obviously could. He's he's improved even more. He's great at leading the Pistons and the young guys that he's around with on that team. And then, I mean, Anthony Edwards still, who knows? He still get even better, and he he has a great attack mindset on the floor. Um, yeah, I mean, so far with the way things are going this year, I wouldn't be surprised to see some dark horses. And I would slightly rather would see that. I like the parody a lot.
Love it.
All right, Joey.
Well, then I will take. If Ben's not going to hop on the Wemby train, I guess I will. I would much rather see Wemby, and I'm keeping the same stance that I had 20 years ago when LeBron started taking the league by storm and the Cavs started winning. If he's young, he's got it. They're winning, and he's clearly the best player in the world. Give it to him. Doesn't matter if he's too young or anything like that. I say give it to him. And LeBron went on to win many MVPs. I think it's the same thing with Vic, and I'll stand by it. If Victor Wembanyama is showing like he's already started off with them coming out to an insane starting record and him dropping 30-point triple-double or something like that, him doing everything from defense to shooting from the logo to getting his teammates. If he's already showing all of that and the Spurs continue with all of this success throughout the season, hats off to him. I think he should get it. Again, obviously, it is very dependent on how the other top guys, because Shea and the Joker and Giannis, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. But depending on how his stats go up to, if he has comparable stats and they're around the same record, if I think he deserves it, I don't think I have no problem with that going into year 3, him getting his MVP.
What do we think about? So, add another wrinkle to this. I mean, over the last 4 years, it has been. I mean, it's literally been Jokic and Embiid. Jokic winning 3 of the 4, Embiid winning the other one. Well, and then Shea obviously last year. But what if like Giannis is off to an amazing start? Luka has been incredible. These are guys that have. I mean, Giannis has won a couple MVPs before. Luka has been in the discussion. Would we like to see those guys get back into the conversation? I know Giannis was third last year, but like these superstars who have been putting up great numbers, for a long time here, but haven't necessarily been at the top of the MVP conversation in the last few years because Jokic and Embiid and Shea and in those years have just been so amazing compared to everyone else.
I wouldn't mind it, but at least with the Giannis thing, I don't see the Bucks being that winning of a team because it does come down to wins. You have to, in my opinion, you have to be a top seed in your conference to win it. And I just don't see the Bucks themselves doing it, no matter how crazy Giannis' stats are. I don't think he gets there. Luka, possibly, if the Lakers keep winning and stuff like that, I wouldn't mind that. But I truly think it's going to be a top team.
Yeah, with the Giannis thing, like of course I've been so low on the Bucks, and we'll see how much they end up going here, but I was so low on them, and they've looked pretty good, at, led by Giannis, to where I'm like, dude, if the Bucks make the playoffs as a lock, like if they're a top 4 seed, if they get home court with this team and Giannis is putting up the best numbers of his career, that is more impressive than if Shea puts up great numbers again. And I think that might be more deserving.
Oh, 100% agree. Like I said, if they're a top seed, if the Bucks are a 4 seed and getting home court advantage, 110% you better give it to Giannis.
But to answer your previous question, though, Nick, I'd love to see Wemby go out and win MVP. I mean, he's been so good to start the season. Of course, we're 6 to 7 games into the season, but he's been so good. On both ends of the floor. Again, they haven't played the craziest of schedules yet. I'm interested to see what teams will do against the Spurs going forward, because we saw in Phoenix they had a pretty good blueprint to slowing him down, and the Suns gave the Spurs their first loss of the season, holding Wemby to 9 points. So, that's something that we'll have to look at going forward. But, I would definitely love to see it. Also because, just by a couple of months, it would break the record for youngest MVP in history by Derrick Rose. So that's something that could be in play. And if it doesn't happen, this might be the only chance that record gets broken for a little while, because I mean, how many players come in and they're playing this well? I mean, this is the start of his 3rd year in the league, and he's looking like this. Like, this could be the year where the Derrick Rose MVP record gets broken. But of course, still a long season to go.
That would be crazy, though.
It would be nuts.
Yeah, definitely would be. Nick,
Well,
what did you say to that question?
um, yeah, I'd love to see Wemby win it. I'll go with
Yeah.
Wemby. Yeah.
So the biggest Wemby fan is the only one who would rather see some parity. Love it.
Well, no,
Hey.
I'd love to see the parody as well. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if we saw like Maxey and Cunningham get in that conversation. I'm just not sure. We see it every year where we have these hot starts from players and teams. Like, of course, the Bulls at 5-1, they've been playing so good. I don't know how long that'll go, and they certainly don't have any MVP guys. Sorry to Modest Buzelis. But
Disrespect.
Disrespect.
the disrespect. But we will see. I think it's at the start of every season we sort of get these like 9 to 10 guys that are kind of at the table, to start the season in the MVP conversation. We'll see who stays along for dinner and stays for dessert by the end of the season.
I love that. Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of how we go with it. But yeah, lots of fun here to start off this season. Definitely a lot of parity around the league. And besides the Thunder and the Spurs and the Sixers for the most, and the Bulls, every team's kind of been close so far. So we'll see if any teams can start to get some separation. We'll see if, I guess, the things to watch for the next episode. We'll see if the Thunder have lost a game. We'll see if we learn more about this Ja Morant situation, and if Willie Green still has a job. So,
And if the Jazz can get a winning streak going.
Ooh.
Utah Jazz now 3-4 on the season after defeating the Boston Celtics last night with the Yusuf Nurkic game winner. That got us Keontae Jordan.
And if we can continue our Pirtle streak.
Yes. Yeah, because we got to keep it up. I mean, how many? Yeah, back to back getting the player on the team. That was something else. But yeah, for sure, lots of fun coming up over the next few days. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
No, sir. Oh, actually, I don't know. Were we on last time the Nikola Topic news came out?
Oh no, we were not.
Because I would for sure give out all my prayers for good recovery. Because F cancer, man. He got diagnosed with testicular cancer, going through chemo, and I hope the best. Because I don't know about y'all. I do know about y'all. We talked about it in the off season. We were all looking forward to seeing him this year. So hopefully for a quick recovery for him.
Yeah, no question about it. All the guys that have gotten hurt. We have another injury with Dylan Harper. The rookie's going to be out for a little bit. Trae Young's going to be out for approximately 4 weeks. So those are some major injuries to look at. As we go forward along this season. But we lose Joey there after he gives the nice sentiment there to Nikola Topic. But that's all here for today's episode. As Joey joins us for the ending here. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.